great people who live in Louisiana to the people who are gay and or LGBT friendly.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just talking about the other ones, okay? But we're hearing that it's coming out of Louisiana. I'm not surprised. It's right next door. Listen, people, to the people who are not familiar with Louisiana
Mm-hmm.
or that type of thing, right? Louisiana is right next door to us, and it's like no one ever goes there unless they're going to the casino or New Orleans. That's the only time anyone
The
goes.
rest of it is just swamps
The rest of it is
and
just swamp,
dirt. It's just
flat
nothing.
land,
Yes.
and just
That's
and
all there
just-
is there. And a
that's
lot
not
of
even
poor
eat-
people.
Yeah, and it's I mean, you have just shacks of houses.
Yes.
It's depressing.
It is depressing. It is. Well,
But in response to
Yeah.
that, really, I'm not surprised that the cashier is doing this. She seems like one of those. She sounds like one of those Westboro church people that it's like, damn you to hell for you being gay, and may have God have mercy on your soul. But speaking of that, people like that scare the hell out of me.
really?
Those
Ultra-religious?
overcharged Bible thumpers, as I
Yeah.
call them. Like everything has to be some type of scripture,
Uh-huh.
or you're going to hell because you don't think like they do, or
They don't
you know,
scare me. They just, I feel sorry for
not
them.
Scare me, but it's like foolish is the man who sleeps with another man. Like like come on. I'm like, child, I don't want to hear all that. Okay?
You don't even know the verse.
I don't know, but
You're like, girl,
I
I don't know what they're saying. No, it's
Right.
hilarious.
But
Uh.
I'm not surprised.
Well, what's interesting to me is very often now. First of all, okay, look, in the South, as you said, this being in Louisiana, it's not exactly surprising, and it's not to me either. But the South has always been racist, homophobic. I mean, it gets everybody who's not like the people here, basically. If you're not white or whatever, whatever, and straight, and so that's not surprising. However, the woman's a black woman, and so every time I see a homophobic black person, or Hispanic person or whatever, any minority, it's so hypocritical to me that someone, especially a black person, who probably, or at least should be aware of the struggle that black people had to go through to get civil rights in this country for hundreds and hundreds of years in this country, and still not have full equality, mostly in a lot of ways, to put that exact same bigotry and prejudice towards some other group that's a minority because you don't agree with them or whatever is hypocritical and unconscionable to me. Doesn't that bother you that someone who is a minority would treat another minority that way and act as if they're somehow better? I mean, to me, it's like, okay, you finally get your rights in America and you fight for them all these years, people and our forefathers and everything else. And then you become from the victim to the oppressor.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. I'm not surprised by it, but I'm also not surprised when gay people do it to each other.
Well, I know that.
Too.
Of course they do. But I'm just saying that it's like, don't you think it's hypocritical for someone to do that, who is a minority themselves and has had to fight for it?
I think it's hypocritical when a minority does it to another minority, or when gay people do it to other gay people, or it's just, I'm like,
right.
What is your point?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just like,
well, I mean, it's like they act like all of a sudden somehow they've never had to understand what it means. Most of the time, I think people, when they are oppressed, have been oppressed by society or whatever, or have been a victim of bigotry or prejudice in some way. Typically, most of the time, in my opinion or in my experience, it makes those people more understanding and empathetic, about other people and human experience. But for some people, it makes them like the oppressors. That it's like someone who's been abused sometimes. Like a kid who was abused as a child may abuse their child when they grow up. You know what I mean? Right. Or they become sensitive and they would never do that. So it's like, to me, it's the same thing. It's like someone like this woman who happens to be black, who is saying all these horrible things to a gay person. It's like she was, bullied and harassed for being black or something, and now she's doing it to people because she feels it makes her more powerful now. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Right. So I don't know. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. I think it's very, I don't know. I don't like it. That's all I have to say. I think it's hypocritical and foolish. But anyway, now I want you to tell us about your trip to Chicago. What happened in Chicago?
Oh, it was bittersweet. It was very bittersweet.
What happened?
Well, let's start from the very beginning, shall we? We shall. Okay. So I get up Wednesday morning to get ready to go to the airport. Everything's going normal. Now, for the people who, again, are outside the Dallas area, on this particular day, it's been raining, and it's been raining a lot because, they're saying April showers bring May flowers, right?
Yeah.
So at the particular moment when I left, it wasn't raining, but it had been raining throughout the night.
Yeah.
No worries. It was humid as fuck outside. I hate humidity, but I was like, I got to go to the airport, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I take Lyft to the airport. Shout out to my Lyft driver.
That's LYFT, right?
Yes, LYFT.
Is that the one with the mustache or whatever?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Sometimes I use Uber. Sometimes I use Lyft. At this
Okay.
particular moment, I was using Lyft. So again, shout out to my Lyft driver. So anyway, prior to leaving, starting on Monday, I was suffering with my allergies a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't think anything of it. I was like, oh, I suffer with allergies. It happens all the time. I'll have it for about a day or two, then it'll be gone.
Yeah.
So Wednesday comes around. I was feeling about 80% better.
Mm-hmm.
And I get to, fast forward. It's time to board the plane. I get on the plane takes off. All of a sudden, out the blue, my ears started getting kind of like stopped up, from the high altitude or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it happens all the time when you fly. And I didn't think anything of it. I was like, oh, well, excuse me, I'll chew some gum or eat something, and to make my ears pop or whatever. So that didn't work. And then because it's like almost a 3-hour flight going to Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
So as time progressed on the flight, I noticed that I was having a harder time hearing people.
Yeah.
Like people that would sit right next to me. I was like, what?
Yeah.
What? That type of thing. And I was just like, okay, well, clearly when I get back on the ground, they'll open up. I'll be fine. By the time we landed, I could not hear a thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I couldn't hear anything.
The pressure in your head was expanded.
It was just so great to the point.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't in pain yet.
Yeah.
But the pressure was so great, I could not hear anything. And for a moment, I was like, this is what it's, I guess this is like when, to live a life as a deaf person.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was like, I cannot hear a thing. And then for it to have it and then have it taken away from you.
Right.
Like 24 hours. It had me a little nervous because I was thinking to myself, like, and then, walking through the airport, I was like, well, what happens if I don't hear an announcement? Or what happens if, I'm walking across the track, on the train, I get hit by the train? Or, something like that.
Right.
So, me being, the paranoid person that I am, I went online on my phone and I Googled, what to do if your ear is stopped up due to a plane ride or something like that. I don't remember exactly how I typed it in, but it was something of that nature. And then WebMD, which always gives you like the worst possible scenario for you to be prepared for it.
Yeah.
They were like, oh, well, if it doesn't clear up within 3 to 4 hours, then you should go to the ER.
Yeah.
Okay, so by this time it had been 5 hours, and I still couldn't hear anything. This is 5 hours after we landed. I'm like, and then the pain started to kick in.
Mm-hmm.
And then my aunt was like, well, do you want me to take you to the emergency room? Because she lives like right across the street from a hospital in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, yeah, let's go. Now, I am not the type of person to go to a hospital. So for me to just voluntarily get up,
you were
and
in
go
some
to a
major
hospital,
pain, right?
I was really, A, in pain, and then B, I was really worried.
Yeah.
So I get to the hospital, and, they have the waiting room with all the people who don't have insurance. Shout out to the people who don't have health insurance. And so I get there, and the lady was like, how can I help you? And it feels like I was talking loud.
Yeah.
Because it feels like I was yelling, and maybe I feel like I was yelling, but I wasn't. But anyway, I was like, yeah, I just came off of a plane ride a few hours ago. My ears haven't cleared up. I'm really worried because I cannot hear anything. And so, like, how, like, when you talk to someone and you can't hear, you have to, like, cup your ear to kind of...
Yeah.
I had to do that, and she was sitting right across from me.
Oh, my God.
So it was bad. So she was like, well, do you have your insurance? And, do you have your ID?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, yes, I do. So I showed her that. I went out to the waiting room. She said, well, take this and go out to the waiting room, and we'll call you back. Now, when you go to the ER, I was expecting, since mine was like technically like a non-life-threatening situation. I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna be in this waiting room all fucking day just to see somebody about this shit. I sit my ass, no lie, I go and sit my ass down. As I'm bending over to sit down,
Mm-hmm.
a lady comes around the corner and she's like, Jason Joy. I'm like, I just sat down.
Probably because you had insurance.
And so it was like, Jason. And then as I was walking away, and as bad as my hearing was, I heard this woman say, how in the hell he get called back? I mean, half of those people were pissed that I got called.
Yeah, I'm telling you, they probably didn't have insurance, and you did. I bet you.
I mean, and I mean, they bumped me to the front of the line.
Yeah,
so
first class.
Yeah, exactly. So I get to the back, and I speak with an RN, and she was like, "Well, what problems are you having?" I explained it to her, and then she said, "Well, someone else is going to come in and take a look at you and yada yada yada."
Mm-hmm.
So 5 minutes went by. A guy came in. Shout out to the registered nurse, the second registered nurse that came in. He was like, "So what problems are you having?" So I was like, "I can't hear. I was on a plane ride. I'm really having a lot of trouble hearing." And I'm having a little bit of pain, particularly in my left ear.
Yeah.
So he was like, "Well, he was like, well, first let me check your ears and make sure they don't have any built up wax." And I was thinking, and I told him, I said, if I clean my ears on a regular basis. Well, matter of fact, I clean my whole body on a regular basis.
That's good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's very good. Hygiene is on point.
Mm-hmm.
So I was thinking to myself, I was like, if I am here because I have a buildup of wax in my ear,
Embarrassing. Yeah.
I was like, I'm gonna be so embarrassed. And I said that to him. I said, I'm gonna be so embarrassed because, like, for some compact, some wax is like stuck in a certain part of my ear.
Yeah.
There was a little bit of wax, but not much, like deep down in there. But it was.
There's supposed to be some wax in your ear, by the way.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So he was like, "Well, let me look in there again," and he got the little ear thing when you look into it, and
the light,
light or whatever, and the little magnifying glass that's attached to it, or whatever. He was like, "Well, I know what's going on. This is very quick." He was like, "You have an ear infection in both of your ears."
Oh my God.
And I was like, "I said, are you fucking kidding me?"
Mm-hmm.
He was like, "No, you have an ear infection in both of yours." But he said the one on your left side is really bad. He said it looks inflamed.
Mm-hmm.
So
antibiotics.
Yeah. So he was like, "Yeah. So, you need to take some of this, and you need to take some of this like right away because if you're gonna be flying out in 4 days, you gotta take some of this." Like,
yes.
I said, "Give me whatever you fucking got."
Yeah.
So I went out. They gave me a prescription. They told me to go get it filled, and I went to Walgreens to have it filled. Shout out to Walgreens. And they gave me some amoxicillin, and I was just like,
yeah.
Okay. And he was like, "Are you allergic to penicillin?" I was like, "Not that I'm aware of."
Yeah.
So I was like, I guess I'm going to say no. I've never had that issue before. But as long as I've been alive, I have never had an ear infection.
Yeah.
So I asked the doctor, I was like, "Well, what made me get this ear infection?" He was like, "Well, sometimes when you suffer with allergies and you go into a higher altitude, such as on a plane ride, or if you're like in Denver or something where it's like 3
That's
miles
exactly
away."
where mine happened in Denver. Yes, go on.
Right. He was like, sometimes, he said, since the ear, nose, and throat are all connected, sometimes the bacteria can travel up to the nose or to the ears or whatever the case may be.
Right.
So he's like, it's common. He's like, it's actually very common. And, a lot of people just don't know. But he was like, just take some of this and you'll be fine. So he's like, I'm supposed to take it once every 12 hours. He was like, well, since you're in pain, you can take one as soon as you get it and then take another about 6 hours later. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to overdose. Because it's like 900 milligrams, right?
Oh my God.
And the pills are huge.
Yeah, they're fat. They're big fat pills. Yeah.
I mean, it's like, if I would have known any better, I would have thought it was like
a horse pill.
yeah. Like, I mean, they're huge. And he was like, well, take one now and then take one in 6 hours. I was like, but the prescriptions say to take it every 12 hours. You think I'm not going to wake
He's
up
trying to get rid of your infection as soon as possible, I think. Yeah.
Right. So he's like, no. He's like, if you take it 6 hours apart, no, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
He's like, and then after that, take it once every 12 hours. So I go to Walgreens, get it filled. Had to wait 2 hours to get the prescription filled. Then I get back, and she was like, oh, your medicine is only like $10. And I was like, yes. So I get that, take it. First night, I was just laying on the couch, just kind of moaning and groaning, and, how I wanted just the world to stop spinning and wait on me hand and foot. But then about day 3, I felt perfectly fine. So
good.
Right now, I'm about 90% there.
Yeah.
And
how was the plane ride back? Was your ear okay?
Well, the doctor told me to get some
earplugs.
Here's the thing. So the day that I leave to come back to Dallas, I was like, I'm going to stop at Walgreens and give me some of those foam earplugs that you roll up and put in your ear.
Yeah.
I just need some cheap ones just to, keep out the pressure on the plane, the cabin pressure or whatever, right?
Yeah.
they didn't have any phone ones. So I get to the airport and I was like, well, clearly they